Hey all, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone. This is Hari, going to be your Power BI and PostgreSQL trainer, right? So just to give a recap of this particular course, so we are going to have around 15 classes stretch across 3 weeks, right? Daily we are going to have 1 hour class and followed by the assignments. I'm going to give the assignments, and I need your support to complete the assignments. I will be there to clarify any kind of doubts or queries for the assignments, and by the time when we come to the next class, right, we should be having a decent level of understanding about our previous class, right? Now, what is covering in our course? So we are covering Power BI along with PostgreSQL, and we are targeting Microsoft Power BI Data Analyst PL 300 certification. Right? Why? Because it's very important that we are created this course for the new people or entry level people who want to change their career from non-IT to IT background. And Power BI tool is one of the best way uh, to help us in changing our career. The reason because it is not having extensive coding or nothing complicated. It is pretty straightforward. And the second thing is Power BI is developed by the Microsoft Corporation, Microsoft Office, right? So that is the reason. If you see many features when you are going to work on Power BI, many feature looks like Excel, Word, or PowerPoint applications. And I'm sure many of the students have the chance to work on Excel, MS Word, and PowerPoint, these applications when they're in the academics or when they are in other areas of the job also, right? Because nowadays, in everywhere we are using computers and laptops, and to capture all the information related to the business activity, we are putting in the Excels or in the PowerPoints, right? So my understanding is, uh, to be honest, whoever want to learn Power BI, right? They just need a minimum computer knowledge, understanding about the basics of computers, and having a decent understanding about the Microsoft Office applications, right? And if you feel that, oh, I am not good at Microsoft applications, that is fine. Because I have conducted 2 years back, Microsoft Office training also, a 9 days course. I can give you those videos as a complimentary, right? So that you can watch those videos and make familiarize with yourself on Microsoft Office tools, right? And our objective of this course is to understand what is database and how to write SQL structure query languages, and then be a certified Power BI professional, right? That is our one single line objective. Because whenever we are having any course or when we are started training, first of all, we need to understand why we are doing what we are going to achieve, right? Why we know we want to crack a job in the IT, and what we need to do is complete the course along with the certification, right? And apply for the jobs in the right way. And many students has a doubt, right? So if you see here, we have designed our course in 3 parts: data warehousing, PostgreSQL, and Power BI, right? When we are saying this is a Power BI course, but why we have included PostgreSQL? That is the question comes to the lot of the students in mind. So to explain this one, first of all, I just want to show you one picture, right? Let me show you one picture. And if you see here, data to insights journey, right? So I can directly go Power BI, not me, many students or online recordings or videos also there. If you type in the Google or YouTube, when you say Power BI training, you will get a lot of recordings, right? But they are like instant noodles. I mean, they will tell you, they will pick a topic in Power BI, they will explain you what it is, but underlying crux or underlying objective or fundamentals no one is going to touch. And in our course, we want to understand what is the Power BI role and how it is making our life easier and helping business to grow vertically, right? And if you see these particular diagram, right, and I honestly feel that a picture tells thousand words. That's why Power BI is also having lot of demand, because with the Power BI we are going to create lot of pictures, visualizations, right? Some kind of a charts, diagrams, all those things, so that the business, either it's a operations team, mid-level team, or the management, they can easily understand how their organization is looking. Correct? Now, if you see on the left side, there is a data factory, right? Lot of data is coming. Either it can be incoming data or some storages. HDFS means Hadoop file systems, SQL databases, or this can be any kind of databases, streaming analytics, right? And we all know nowadays we are capturing all our business activities digitally, correct? Either it's a small coffee shop in a street or a bigger organization. Even small coffee shop is also having a small handheld devices to capture their sales and everything. So with this level of technology usage, there is a huge billions and trillions of data is being captured. Now, IT companies and organizations need skilled employees who can drill down the data and create a meaningful insights for the business people. So that is where we as a Power BI data analyst is going to help them, right? So our role comes with the Power BI side. So when I say that you as a Power BI developer, that you should be having a good understanding about our left side. That means what is our input file in the organizations, what they say that, okay, boss, this is your files having data. Now you start picking on the reporting, I mean, creating the dashboards. Or they will say this is your databases and these are the connection details. You just connect them and start creating visualization. And what I honestly or strongly feel is that if you want to create a visually immersive reports, then we should be having a good understanding with our data. What kind of data that is provided to me? Is it a sales data? Is it a finance data? Or is it is a marketing data? And how I can aggregate them, how I can summarize those data, all these things, right? So that is the reason we want to learn SQL also. We should having a sound understanding with the database, right? Because when in almost 99% organizations, right, along with the files, they would be having databases also. So that is the reason we to be something special when we go to the interviews or we are on the top, then along with the Power BI, we should be having understanding about at least one database, right? And the SQL. Now, SQL is like a universal language, like how English is there. If you know the English, you can able to manage in the maximum countries, correct? Similarly, when you learn SQL, right, with the help of one database, then similarly, we can also easily work with other databases. There would be some minor syntax changes or some level of changes, but the underlying concept, whether creating a table, inserting the data, deleting the data, updating the data would be similar kind of things, right? So as a Power BI developer, our main aim is convert the data into insights, right? Any questions till now? This is a high level flow diagram, right? Now, if you have any questions here, can you post it in the chat channel? Because I just want to show another interesting image, right? That helps, I mean, where we can see what are all the tools available to make this journey completed. Okay, I will take it as no. So when I go to the next page, right? If you see, we have divided this page into four parts: operational data, data injection, analytical data, and data modeling and visualization, right? And many students has a doubt, hey, is it Power BI enough, or I didn't need to learn other applications or other tools also, right? My honest answer is to be SME, subject matter expert in one tool, and just know a high level what other tools do. That will work us. There is no need to learn multiple tools, right? Learn one tool. Either it can be a Microsoft Power BI, Azure Data Lake, Databricks, or Azure Data Factory, anything. So that you should be SME in that area and have an understanding what other tools work, how other tools work, right? That is what here our course is designed. Now, we would be in the data modeling and visualization area, right? And there is one advantage also for this area, because the data visualizations which we create, normally we present to the management team or end users. So that means we get a more visibility with the business or end users, because they are the one who view the data, and we also have some understanding, okay, how our business is running, right? So we are going to focus on this right side, data modeling and visualization. And for that, we are going to use Microsoft Power BI, right? And in this visualization area, the two market leaders are Power BI and Tableau, right? And Tableau is altogether created by separate company, right? The user interface and it also a bit complex. Whereas Power BI, being a Microsoft tool, you will feel that, okay, this tool seems to be familiar with me. That kind of feeling you will get when you are working with Microsoft Power BI, right? Since we always go from left to right, right? So we are going to start with understanding about the data warehousing concepts, right? And a database. And finally, we move into the Power BI. This is going to be our journey. So our course is also structured in a way that we would be having 10% time or one class for data warehousing, the first class, and another four classes for the understanding about the database, how data is stored, what kind of relations would be there between the tables, right? And finally, we will be jumping into the Microsoft Power BI with 2 weeks back-to-back classes, right? So that is our target objective. And similarly, what are all the courses that we are also covering as a part of data warehousing, Postgres? And in this course, I am also covering, right, uh, how to install the database, just to have a feel that, okay, it's not a rocket science. Just we are going to show how to install the databases and work on it. That is one thing we are going to see, and further we would be seeing. So in the SQL, we mainly focus on DDL. That means how to create a table, how to modify the tables, and how to create views. And DML means data manipulation language. That means inserting the data, updating, and deleting. And we are also going to see uh, different types of queries, how to write a SQL query to pull the data. Either it's a whole table or a subset of the table or a single record. How to filter, sorting, and all those things. And data types is another important concept that we are going to cover. So these data types helps you to maintain the data integrity, their data quality, right? So these are the key topics that we are going to cover in the PostgreSQL, right? And why we selected PostgreSQL, I'm going to tell you in the second class in detail, right? Finally, we would be into the Power BI, wherein we cover data part. Again, we cover the data part. The reason because data is the source for the Power BI, and we should be having a sound understanding, like how to connect the data and how to transform the data. Suppose if you have some gaps in the data, then we should be doing some transformations and adding automation, adding columns, all this we will see. Analyzing, visualization, and publishing, right? I'm going to share you this presentation, okay, after the class so that you can go through this in detail, right? Like data analysis, visualization, and finally publishing these reports who are supposed to view, right? So this is all about our course, and we are going to cover around 3 weeks, right? And we are also covering the how to prepare the resumes, how to prepare for the certification, right? Just having the course of 15 days is really not going to help. I'm giving a honest answer, right? Along with this 15 days 1 hour class, that we should be having another 1 hour for practice, and we should be targeting our certification, right? So these are about in detail topics which we are going to cover. Any questions with respect to the course, how we are going to have? Because I want to make sure that I am providing a right contestant and every student is clear with what they are going to learn and what they are going to achieve. This is about technicalities of the course, right? You can post it in the chat channel. If you have any questions, answer, or else we will see what are all the opportunities that we are having. What the time schedule of the course? Okay, so time schedule of the course is the same time, that daily 1 hour, from around 8 p.m. EST, or it's like 7 p.m. CST Central Time, 7 to 8. But consider we would be extending for not more than 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, so that you can have the Q&A section. Okay. Um, the class would be 1 hour. So after this course, we can only work with Microsoft. So Hildia, Microsoft is the tool, okay, but across the organizations, this tool is being used. Even Microsoft itself is providing for other IT companies and non-IT companies. So it's not just about Microsoft. Other companies, I mean, wherever companies they are using Power BI as their visualization tool, we can apply for the jobs. I'm going to show you all the openings. Huh? Will the record being shared after each class? Yes, AG. After the class, within 20 minutes, you are going to get the recordings. Okay. Does this training includes Excel? No, this training don't include Excel. Okay, but I can share you my previous Excel training videos as a complimentary. Okay, you can just WhatsApp me. Database is SQL only or Excel can work? Database is SQL only or Excel can work. So, Amit, to your answer, Excel sheets also use it kind of a database to store the data. Okay. With an Excel sheet, you can organize a company, transactions and everything. Okay. But for Excel sheet, you don't need SQL. But when you are interacting with the database, you need the SQL, structure query language. That is a kind of a universal language when you are interacting with the database. Okay. Now, coming to the opportunities, job opportunities, let me just show you. Power BI jobs in USA. So if you see here, 27,000 plus jobs are there, right? With the different experience and all those things. And if you see 2,000 plus jobs for, let us open one by one. There is a huge opportunities with the, there's a huge openings with the Power BI. Considering every organization is moving into the, what we call it as, oh, it came to India, data related analysis and all those things. So if you see Power BI developer, see, review data models and process periodic changes of the data model to support reports coming out of Power BI. Preview the scalability standpoint by doing data increase analysis, develop roadmap for strategy, right? Constantly provide inputs to BI teams on the latest features to be used in Power BI. Design a semantic layer can be used self-reporting, right? Build analysis. So if you see the salary, 1 to 100K to 120K per year. And their business intelligence and data model, this is the requirement they are having, right? So similarly, if I scroll down, BI developer, design, develop, and maintain business intelligence solutions using Power BI, build scalable data models, and optimize tax separation in advance. Transform and intelligence using Power Queries and data flow. We are going to cover all these things, right? And there are huge opportunities are there. It's just about we should be having a right level of knowledge to make sure, yes, we are the right person for them to select us, right? See here, data engineers. And across the globe, we are having, suppose if I pick experience level, say entry level, let us consider, see, considering we are new, a entry level person range is having 59 to 100K, right? Data engineer, administer and optimize Power BI environment, ensure seamless performance and security, develop, publish, and manage interactive reports and dashboards, right? And if you see the salaries, some opening them, yeah, pay range is going to be 75,000 to 143K, right? So, BA developer, Oklahoma, salary around 130K, right? So, Power BI developer consultancy. And if you see the salary ranges, 100K. So on an average, we would be there between 75K to 120K with respect to the packages that they are offering for a data analyst. And there is a huge demand for the data analyst persons in the market. No doubt about it, right? And how we are going to capture that market is by knowing the end-to-end data flow and being a SME in the Power BI and doing a certification to that one, right? And I'm going to help you with respect to, how to do the certification and give a guidance on interview preparation. Along with that one, on the job also, if you need any technical support, definitely I will be there to help you, right? And we would be conducting our classes every month. So in case, due to whatever the reasons that you have missed some classes, or you feel that, okay, you need to have some refresh again, then you can join the next classes also, next batch, right? Only simple condition I put is that, okay, before you joining the next way, that you should be doing some practice by using the class recordings. Okay, so that you can be more familiarized with the topic that we are covering. And Olu and Omono, so we are not covering Tableau, okay, because Tableau is altogether a separate one. And in the current industry, Tableau and Microsoft Power BI are the biggest, front runners in this visualization area, and they are like a market competitors. Yes, they do the same thing. Yes, after this training, and to be honest, I'm giving a right statement. After this training, when you do a regressive practice, right, and you complete the assignments and certification, yes, you will become a Power BI developer. Mel, I'm giving a clear answer to that one. No conditions, nothing. Training, completing the assignments and practice, and getting the certification. Then you will become a Power BI developer. So what is the difference between Power BI data analyst? See, data analyst, we call it is as a role, right? And the person who is using the Power BI tool and develop this visualization, they termed as a Power BI developer. Okay, they can be interchanged words. Okay, so for a data analyst, okay, so who is going to analyze the data, he can use a Power BI as their tool to do the data analyst job, or he can use a Tableau to do the data analysis. Okay, now when you are using a Power BI, and we term it as, okay, boss, he is a data analyst who use Power BI and he is a Power BI developer. Does a business analyst need these certifications? Not mandatory, Mel, but having this certification gives him advantage when he is applying for the jobs and all those things, right? Because business analysts are one of the end users for the Power BI visualizations, because whatever the visualization that we create, right, business analysts are going to use those things, and they would be uh, reporting to the company management, right? And we have a dedicated WhatsApp group also. Let me show you that one. Power BI support group, right? I I regularly add all the students who are completed their course, or who are be going to complete their course, and they are going to get a regular updates. So if you feel that I don't have time to search for the jobs, I mean, our hack trainers, we created a separate team that they post regularly. Whenever a new job opportunities came, they post in this chat group, WhatsApp group. Okay, and the good thing is, you can connect with this team so that they would be helping further to apply, because applying to the jobs is also another important thing, that the quicker we apply, there is a higher chances that our resume would be picked up. And there is a dedicated team in India sitting. They regularly monitor all the portals, and wherever new job opportunity posted, immediately they will apply to these jobs on behalf of us. It just we need to connect with them and uh, work with them. Okay. This is all about job market. And with respect to certification, it cost around $165. Okay, as of now, not required. Once we are ready fully, then we can go for the certification. And the certification is Microsoft Certified Power BI Data Analyst Associate. And if you see, the level of this certification is intermediate, right? So our main target is to crack the job, which means we should be having a knowledge at the intermediate level. That is the reason. So we being, some of us are in non-IT background, right? So to make sure that recruiter has the confidence that yes, this person, I can interview this person, or if they want to confident on our resume, let us should be having a Microsoft certification, right? And I'm just not adding this as a part of the course fees. The reason because immediately it is not needed. So first month you complete the course, right, with the 300, and then once in the second month we can target for the certification. And this is certification is 1 year validity, and we can renew it free of cost, right? They just want to make sure, yes, we didn't forget it, the concepts, and we know them very well, right? Every 12 months. And the good thing with is that we are having a lot of practice papers also. So we don't need to worry that, I mean, if we didn't pass it, then we may lose our fees. Nothing like that. There are a lot of practice assessment papers, and when we consistently scoring 80%, that is the point that tells us, okay, now we are ready to be part of, I mean, we can take the exam. And we have the virtual demos also there, right? And it's a 100 minutes course. We can complete even in case, suppose if you fail the, if you are not didn't crack the course, within 24 hours we can do a second attempt also at the free of cost, right? And the certification is also very student friendly. If we are not able to crack in the first attempt, again they are giving another chance within 24 hours. And there are a lot of practice assessments, and I also would be working with you. Hmm? Okay, I will pause here. Any questions? The cost changes with location? No, sir. You are right, but overall it would be same, I think. Suppose if I take this one to India, I mean, we can select our country wherever we are saying. Suppose if it is United States, 165. Now, if I put to South Africa, $58. Okay, this is maybe probably South African dollars. Okay. If it is Australia, 140 US dollars. Okay. So it depends upon your local currency. Okay. Fine. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm just taking a pause here. Hey, all. Thanks for your time. So we would be starting our first class, right? As I told you that we have divided our class in three parts, right? Like first one is going to be data warehousing, and one second. And the second part we are covering PostgreSQL, and finally we would be covering with the Power BI, right? Now, what is data warehousing? So let us make this class more interactive. So when you heard about warehouse, what comes in your mind? I'm also opening a small Excel with me. Okay. So when you hear a word about warehouse, what comes in your mind? Storage. Yes, Tony, you're right. Any other things? A place where we have a collection of items, right? Any other points? Neatly arranged, right? Thanks everyone for your right. Now we generally hear the word about warehouse. A company has a warehouse which keeps its raw materials, right? Or finished goods, right? They use the warehouses for both the things, raw material or finished goods. And the logic here is they keep the raw material so that in case their raw material cost is shooting up, so that they don't have need to put more money to purchase them. Similarly, when they realize that the cost of their raw materials has reduced drastically, then they will put the purchase orders and store them so that they can get the maximum profits. Similarly, for the finished goods, right? So company gets the orders and it's create, I mean, it will be uh, manufacturing the products. And in case if market demand is less, then obviously it need to store them at a place where it can use. And we all call them the warehouses, correct? Now, if the same thing is used for the storing the data, then we are calling it as a data warehouse. And this concept has started in almost 1980s, around 1980s, right? So before explaining this one, right, as I told you, one picture speaks thousand words. Let me get a picture, right? I'm just taking a online picture, online pictures, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to write data warehouse, right? So I have a nice diagram. The first one I'm going to pick up it, right? I'm going to maximize this one. So whenever you are representing some items with the images, right, they follow some standard structures, right? Now, when you see this one, this drum structure, right? Whenever you want to represent a database, right, we are going to use this drum structure. So please keep this in mind, right? Whenever you want to represent a database that is going to be shown in this like this, right? And if you see here, there is operational systems. What do you mean by operational systems? Did anyone heard the word about operational systems? Okay. So when you go to the shops, take any of the Walmart or not about Walmart, let us take a smaller one, the small cafeterias or small hotels, those are there, right? So they do day-to-day transactions, business transactions happen. You go to the bank branch and you do some transaction like taking a loan or taking the money or applying for the loan or applying for the credit card. So all these information long back they used it to capture in the books physically, right? Now slowly technology has came from 19th century and everything is being captured in the systems, right? So all the day-to-day activities that we do or day-to-day business transactions and their supporting information, please underline this word, and their supporting information. Supporting information means, say, if you do a transaction, like you have sent money to your friend, right? That is a business transaction. And supporting information to that one is your name, your friend name, your friend account details, your account details. These are like a supporting information. So all this information is stored in the either in the databases or files based on the nature of the data, right? And all these are captured. Since these are day-to-day operations and the systems, those are used to capture these activities, we call as online transactional processing systems, OLTP, online transactional processing, right? OLTP, correct? And these are all called OLTP systems. Now, what happens? I have a computer in my head office, right? That is going to capture all these information, day-to-day information, right? And at one point of time, it is decided, okay, boss, I want to do some analysis. What is that analysis? That how is my business? This is the one liner. How is my business going on? From this liner, further things comes. Okay, how we can know how our business is going, right? If you also generally think of it, no need to have any business knowledge, just think of it. If we want to know how our business works, then we need to know, okay, how many customers are there each and every month, whether the customers are increasing or decreasing. If ours is a bank, then how many loans we disbursed, how many fixed deposits we have uh, created, right? And we aggregate all this in the month on month, compare with year on year, right? So to do these analysis, now we need to read all the data, right? Think of it, if you have a list of 1,000 records. Now, if you want to know what is the aggregation of all those things, then you need to scan all those 1,000 records, sum up it, and do it. So there is a mathematical operations are there, correct? Now, what happen is when these systems are used for online processing, at the same time they started using this system for analytical processing also to understand the summarized values. Now, what happened at one point of time, this system started performance issues because business is growing. Instead of one store, we have 10 stores. Instead of one city, we have now 50 cities are there. All the data coming into one place, right? So suddenly what it's seeing is that the operational systems, the front end laptops, they started performance issues and there is a noise came. And then what they decided is, okay, boss, let us leave these operational systems for only operational purpose. At the end of the day, just take a copy into the staging layer, right? Take a copy of each and every database or each and every business activity or files. Suppose today 10 new employees are joined in the company, right? So employees data is not used, so they keep it in files. So these 10 employees information is captured overnight, correct? And this information is stored in the warehouse, right? Warehouse is nothing but again, they are also databases only. Okay. They are also a databases, but instead of storing in a each and every row, they summarize the data. Say total sales per each month, total sales per year, like this summarized data. And also we keep a copy of raw data. Suppose today my requirement is know what is the profit I gain. Tomorrow we want to analyze the customer behaviors. So that means again we may need the raw data. But instead of pulling again a copy from here, I'm going to store the raw data also in one database. Similarly, metadata. And guys, this is very important. Metadata is about the details related to the what kind of data you are storing. Say I am storing customer table. Within the customer table, customer name, address, phone number, these are kind of information I'm storing. Like this information, metadata means information about what kind of data you are storing, right? So since we are storing in an aggregated form that is used for analytics, we are calling it as a warehouse. Now this warehouse we are going to use by the end users for their analysis, reporting or data mining, right? So this second part, we call it as OLAP, online analytical processing, right? These are the two terminologies we should be remembering. Even in the overnight also, you should be telling, yes, this is online transactional processing that deals with the day-to-day business activities, right? And at the end of the day, we are taking a copy and putting into the warehouse in a summarized form and a exact same copy, right? And also what kind of data we are storing, we are keeping in the metadata. And this is also needed for the regulatories, right? Because Banks and some organizations have strict regulations that if you are collecting the customer information, that information is supposed to be used only for the intended purpose. And how we can know that one? When you document those information in this metadata. So that if a regulator comes and asks, hey, what kind of data you are storing for the customer, he can quickly refer this metadata database and answer the questions, right? And further, it's a data warehouse at organization level. So we can create a small data marts, right? Data mart is nothing but a data warehouse only. It's just a subset. Say I have created a data warehouse for my entire organization, but a sales department really don't need all that information because they mainly need what are all the sales, right? Based on salespersons, based on the region. They really don't need the data that is related to the production line or inventory. So to have a right level of access to the data, we create smaller data marts, a subset of data warehouse, and that is being used by respective analysts. Is it clear till now? Yes, for every technology or tool, the fundamentals is very important. Okay. So we should be knowing when I say that you are learning Power BI, that you should be knowing why Power BI, right? Why I'm not directly referring to the actual database, why there is a data warehouse sitting in between for my analytics, right? If you want to know, then we need to know this end-to-end flow. Any questions or queries on this OLTP and OLAP? Right? A simple diagram, but it is having a lot of meaning, and we should be having a very clear understanding with this flow. Okay, because many people miss this why we are doing this one, and they go pillar and post and pillar. Okay, and also some people think that hey, I got a database which is having complete humongous data or detailed data, but whereas you are referring a database that is having summarized data and your reports are faster. So that kind of performance tunings comes into the picture. If we are using our Power BI wrongly hitting to the operational data, then it is a problematic area, right? What does the summarized data contain? So summary, right? Olu, if you heard the word summary, right? Summarizing means aggregating, correct? So what I will do is from the raw data, right? I have the sales. Suppose if you take a transaction table, you are going to have all the transactions happen day to day, right? On a particular day, you would be having 1,000 customers. So what we do is we summarize the data at the day level. What is the total sales for each day? That is one table. Or within that table, we have another column like monthly sales, that where we aggregate with the help of ETL tools, extraction, transformation, and load, and we keep the summarized information about the monthly sales, right? Is it clear? So if you see this particular image, yeah. So to get the operational data into the analytical data stores, right? We use some Azure streaming analytics, ETL tools, all those things. So we term it as a ETL tools like data warehousing. So we use one of the ETL tool to do that processing. Azure streaming data analytics. Okay. The aggregation information would be stored. Right. Now coming to a detailed analysis of this one, let me open. So to understand more about, we have an article from the Amazon AWS thing, right? See, Amazon cloud is a, what we know, right? This is a new technologies, right? But it is having separate page for data warehouse, where the concept is from 1980s. The reason because is, even though we say Azure, Amazon, Google, but underlying fundamental never changes. Every organization having operational data, they want to bring that copy. Here, data analytics becomes the cloud. They bring this data into the cloud and they do the analytics. And they are providing different cloud specific tools. And if you see, data warehouse is a central repository of information that can be analyzed to make informed decisions. Data flows into data warehouse for transactional systems, relational and other source. Right? That is what we have seen in this diagram, right? So data flows from different transactional systems or operational systems. Business analyst, data engineers, data scientists, and decision makers. See, access data through BI tools. BI tool means our Power BI tools or Tableau tool, SQL kind, whatever it may be. And many people comes this doubt. Even one of our student asked, what is the difference between business? Data and analytics have become indispensable to business to stay in competitive. Right? Business users rely on reports, dashboards, and analytical tools to extract inside their data. Data warehouse powers these reports, dashboards, and tools by storing data efficiently, minimum amount. Right? So I'm going to share you this link, right? And before coming to the next class, I would request you to please go through this article. Hmm? If I'm reading this one, you will get bored. But when you read this one, definitely you will get more and more interesting. Correct? And also, recently, I mean, I got one picture like oil is not the new, I mean, it's like that. Data is the new oil, right? Uh, in 19th century, whichever the countries having oil, that they are the richest countries or richest organizations, right? I have a nice image of that one. I think I have taken the picture. Let me get that picture. I mean, it's a nice picture. Yeah, I got that picture. Let me share that one and show it to you. It's very interesting and funny also. Yeah. If you see, the world's most valuable resource is no longer oil, but data. Data economy demands a new approach. And if you see the risks which are labeled with Google, Facebook, Tesla, because right, these are all minting money with the data that we all collectively being generating. Correct? If you are searching from Google something, immediately Google is passing that information to the online portals, shopping carts. They say that this person is searching for so and so product. You please start putting message ads to him. That's what happening in the current world. Correct? So the most valuable resource is no longer oil but data, right? So people who are becoming expertise in the data world really going to have a bright future, right? Now coming to the further, I'm going to pick up the key points, right? If you see what are the benefits of using data warehouse, like informed decisions, because we have the aggregated information, right? We are not going to have a detailed information like what are the total sales for last month or last quarter. Consolidated data from many sources. Yes, we don't need to go for each and every source system, as I am having a single place with a consolidated information. Historical data analysis, as I am going to keep raw data as it is, so that in case I want to see the historical trends and everything, I can refer that one. Data quality, consistency, and accuracy. Okay, this is very important thing, right? Because We are creating wrap visualizations, dashboards on top of data warehousing. That means the data we are storing should be quality should be top, and consistency and accuracy should also be important. Separation of analytical processing from transactional databases, which improves performance to both the system. This is what we discussed, right? The first thing that we splitted these two activities separately to have both of them working seamlessly. Correct? And how do data warehouse, database, and data lake works together? Okay. Now I want to put a small diagram, right? Insert shapes. This is our database, right? Normally, I represent database as our house, right? Like every one of us having a house, flat, or home, right? Just think of it, it is kind of a database. Now, when we say your house, within the house, we again partition it into different rooms, correct? And each room has its own purpose. If it is a living room, we keep the furniture like TVs, sofa sets, and we use some, and it is used for uh, entertainment purpose. Similarly, we have the kitchen, right? Mainly kitchen related utilities would be there, and we use this for the cooking, right? Similar thing, just correlate that one. When you have the database, again, database is a kind of a space having some borders. Now, within the database, like how we have the rooms in the house, we are going to have the tables. A customer table that stores the customer information, a product table that stores the product information. Similarly, a transactions table. I'm taking you a basic thing, okay, because I want you to know how these things are organized, right? And can you tell me one thing? I hope you heard the word about table. What a table means? It's a combination of, who can give me this answer? A table is a combination of rows and columns, right? Thank you. Like if you see even in this Excel sheet, right? Whenever we create a table, format as a table, right? A table is a combination of columns, columns and rows, correct? So that's what we are going to have. So a customer table is going to have customer ID, customer name. We are going to create those things when we are dealing with PostgreSQL, okay? Customer name, address, all those things. And we are going to learn how we are organizing these things in the tables, right? So I want to be more familiar with these concepts. What is database? Under the database, for what purpose we create the tables, and what kind of information is stored in each and every table, right? So this is one database, right? Similarly, the requirements are changing very dynamically, right? Along with the databases, that our organization says that no boss, you also need to store some data in the files. So I'm going to have the files. These files can store the images or a notepad or some having some information in the JSON format, right? Now, a combination, a place where we can store both the databases and files, and I will remove this one for now just to avoid any confusion. How to remove this one? Just let us delete these columns, right? So if you feel that, okay, you want to looking for a single place where you can keep your databases, files, and online feeds and everything. Then we are terming them as a cloud or Hadoop systems or data lake. So let me put one, I got it where it is. I have an image which I stored. Let us take this one like this. Text fill, no fill. Mhm. How to remove the shape fill, no fill. Yeah, right. So when all these are sitting within the cloud, then we are terming it as a cloud services or data lake, right? So a simple thing, when you are organizing things in a structured manner, right? Like how you put your articles in the warehouse. So we are calling it as a data warehouse. Now, along with the structured things, you may get a requirement that you need to store some unstructured data, like it can be a files or it can be a feeds. Then we are terming it as a lake. You know, right? In the lake, we don't have the, I mean, there would be a lot of things would be there in the lake. And it is kind of a not a structured one, unstructured, right? So the place where we can store structured and unstructured information, then we call it as a data lakes, right? That's what it shows. So there is a comparison between data warehouse, data lakes, and all those things, right? Now, WH Inmon and Rolf Kimball, right? So we have two great scientists who has proposed these data warehouse theories, right? So we decided finally, okay, boss, I will take a copy of my operational data and start analyzing it in the data analyst, right? Now, what these two guys, let me get those URL. Normally, I prefer to show the image so that it would be easier, right? So the Kimball and Inmon, they are the two great scientists who has proposed these data warehousing concepts in 1980s. And we are until 2025. The underlying concept hasn't changed, like Newton's laws, right? Even now in advanced space technology, whatever it may be, when we are sending a rocket to space means it use Newton's third law, no doubt about it, right? All the missiles and everything. Similarly, we got a cloud technologies, Azure, Google, whatever it may be, but the concept is still intact. And Wolf, Kimball, and Inmon has proposed. So they have put their names, right? And what Kimball has proposed is, he says that, boss, you have n data source systems, right? Just start creating a data mart for each and every department, right? Don't go for an organization level data warehouse. What he says that you have a source system, you have a marketing data with you, right? You have marketing data sitting with you, and just create a data mart for it. Similarly, you have the sales data, create a data mart for it. It's like a iterative work. And finally, combine all those things in the data warehouse and give it to the reporting layer, right? So if you see in Agile, you hear that break the things with the smaller executable chunks and start working on it. The benefit of this approach is, since we are starting with a single units, so we can quickly complete the development and deliver it to the productionize, or we can productionize so that people start using it and they can provide their feedbacks and it can be enhanced further, right? That is what Kimball has proposed. On the vice versa, what Inmon suggested is, No, don't go for the individual things. Get your all the source systems. Get all the source systems at one place. Create your data warehouse. And then take each and every data marts. Right? This we called as an enterprise level data warehouse, because if you are referring to an organization at a top level, then we call it as an enterprise level, right? So when it comes to Inmon, which means that it's a going to be very humongous task, right? Because we need to get everyone in the organizations to one place, like getting all the systems data, which means we need to pull all those SMEs. Suppose if you have data from the marketing, then we need to pull those marketing SMEs to understand the data. Similarly, if you have uh, operations or manufacturing units, that kind of information would be stored in separate database. And we also know how to integrate all these different systems into a common database or cloud, right? So if you have a multiple different teams are working over a period of times, they may use their own tools. Some would be using database, some would be using Teradata, some would be using Oracle. Now, how can we get all these different systems into a common one? That is going to be one of the major challenge when it comes to the Inmon, right? But once you have your single data warehouse copy, then you can give a data marts. I mean, taking a copy specific to each and every domain and work on the reporting, right? And which one do you feel is the right one? Uh, so Ismail, where we get the OLTP data before bringing them into ETL race, right? That is your question. I will answer that one. Okay, yes, good. So can you tell me which one is the best one? Is it a Kimball's approach or Inmon approach? Okay, Tony said that both depending on the business needs. Okay, a diplomatic answer. Any other things? Yes, thank you. Right. So both are successful theories. That is the reason today we are learning both of them. Okay. So what happening is some organizations they want to make sure. I mean, they have a control centrally. They have the control, and they need to know what is happening in their business lines or across the organization. So wherever it happens, it use the Inmon. So in my organization, we are using Inmon approach only, right? We would be getting all our data into the cloud centrally, and then we will publish, right? Now let us see a comparative analysis of these two approaches, right? So introduced by Ralph Kimball, introduced by Bill Inmon, yes. If you see the approach, it is a bottom up approach for implementation, right? So in the Kimball, what happened? We will sit with each department, and department level data mart would be created, and then we will try to integrate all these things, correct? So that is the reason it is termed as a bottom up approach. Now when it comes to the Inmon, as we said that, right, we are going to get all the people into one table and create a enterprise level data warehouse, right? It's a top down approach. So we would be seeing here from the enterprise level, from the organization top level. Okay, if I'm seeing, I'm doing a eagle eye, that I would be seeing, okay, this many departments are there, this kind of information is available, everything at one place, right? Data integration, yes, it focuses on individual business areas, and it focuses on enterprise wide area, right? So what happened in enterprise wide area? So in future, if you get a new requirement, right, they don't need to go to a specific team or department to know if the required data is there. They just refer to the central warehouse, and if they have the required information for their analysis, then they will engage the team, central warehouse team. Okay, boss, we have a new reporting requirement for our regulatories or for our new business launch, and we have seen that the data is available in your warehouse, so we would be taking a copy of it, right? Building time, it is efficient and take less time, right? Obviously, even if you see logically also, right? Since we sit with single department and we start building it, so since it's an iterative process, so we can go on building the things, whereas it's a complex and consumes a lot of time, right? Because whenever we say enterprise getting all the systems at one place, right, it's the scope is more. At the same time, complexity also increases because we need to understand how these departments are interrelated, right? Cost, it has iterative steps and cost effective. Obviously, I don't need to put all the money at the day one. Let's think of it, which business line started working, we will spend for that business lines. Initial cost is use, the development cost is low. So if you see here, initially we need to put more cost to get everyone onto the table and understand and to engage multiple teams. But once we got the picture, okay, this is our roadmap, then development cost would be reduced, right? It does not need such skill, but a generic team will do the job, right? Each and every department, if we have the SME of that department, then they will guide us, then we can build the data marts. It needs specialized skill to make work because we need to know who can integrate. Here the maintenance is difficult. If you see when you go for Kimball, maintenance is difficult. The reason because we are having multiple data marts. There may be chances of duplication also. Let us see all those things because each department they create their own employee table. Suppose if I'm marketing guy, right? In my data mart, I create a table, employee table, right? Similarly, sales team also create their own employee table. And that means we would be having similar kind of tables repeated in each data mart. So that is the reason maintenance is difficult, right? And here the maintenance easy because we are having a single place where we can see. It prefers data to be denormalized model, right? Have you heard about the word denormalize and normalize? Yes, we are going to take another 15 minutes, not more than, but the topics now we are going to cover, sorry, would be more and more interesting and they are very important and key topics. Okay, so I want your complete support and attention. So it prefers data to be denormalized. It prefers data to be normalized. So did anyone heard the word of normalization and denormalization? I'm sure answer would be no because this is a kind of a data warehouse. Yes, but could not recollect it now. Okay. To explain this one, I'm going to take a couple of tables as an example. Huh? So I have curated some data to explain this one, right? So if you see this first table, which I am capturing the transactional details. Okay. So I have gone to a shop and I purchase a product, right? And I'm going to capture the details. And if you see, I have my product name, customer address, how many I'm purchasing, what is the cost of the product and total cost and transaction, right? And if you see this particular table is having a detailed information about my each and every transaction. correct? So if a single table is having maximum information, right, we are going to call it as a denormalized, right? Denormalized. A single table is going to have more information, right? Now, what is the problem with this one, right? So let us see. If you see here, my name and then my address, say Harish address, is being repeated 3 times. Similarly, if you see Michael name and address, Derek name and address is repeated, right? Now you just think of a simple example. There is a store is there where the surrounding people regularly visits to that store. So if a month I am visiting 10 times, then my complete address would be repeated by 10 times. And like that, if there are 1,000 customers who repeatedly visit to that store, then simply their address is being repeatedly stored by 10,000 times, right? So which means there is a lot of data redundancy happens. And if you are storing more data, then you need more disks. That means we need to put more money. But we are putting money for what purpose? Just to storing the redundant data, correct? Right? So how to avoid this data redundancy? How to reduce the data storing data duplicates? Then we have the normalized concept, normalization, right? Now in normalization, what we do is, say if I feel that I know a particular customer visiting regularly, I'm going to store his customer details in a customer address table or a kind of customer profile table, right? I'm going to store his entire address, phone number, everything in a single row in a customer address table or customer table. And whenever he does a transaction, that I'm going to refer is unique identification number here, right? So the process of storing the data into multiple tables in a logically way is called normalization, right? Now, if you see here, instead of storing the entire data that may need some 30 or 40 bytes of data, I would be storing a unique identifier, which is a numeric number. So the space utilization is reduced exponentially by 20 to 30 times. So the normalization helps us to reduce the data redundancy. So which means obviously we use less space for storing more data, correct? And this concept is very, very important. Now, how this relationship is maintained, right? Now, how the sales table knows that whenever there is a unique ID is there in address table, that it need to be stored in the, it need to refer the customer address table, right? So these tables where we store a detailed information or information about organizations, persons, entities, we call them as a dimensions, right? Dimension table. Now, if you take any of the furniture or anything, right, we use a general word. Hey, what is the dimensions of that particular table? It will be having length, breadth, height, correct? With some number. What is the dimension? Similarly, this table, which is going to store the information related to the transactions, observations, we call as a fact table, right? And the fact table which need to refer other tables for a detailed information, we call them as a dimension tables, right? And this is the relation. That is the reason, in the databases, we create these relationships. And that is the reason we normally call our databases as relational database management systems, right? And there is a nice article provided by Power BI itself for these facts and dimensions. Let me open that article. See, it is unusual for a Power BI semantic model. Semantic model means data model comprised of a single table, right? A single table model can be a simple design, perhaps suitable for a data exploration or proof, but not one that an optimal model design, right? Even in Power BI also, right, which refers to source systems, what it says is that single table using a single table for data is a simple one, but it's not an optimal one. I mean, it won't work, right? So whatever we discussed, the fact and dimensions, right? Let me show you image first, right? See, this is what we just discussed now, right? Say, I'm going to have a sales table. Uh, Here it is. And this sales table, instead of storing a detailed information within it, it is going to store the unique identity number. And if you want a detailed information of this unique identity, and I'm going to refer respective dimension tables, right? And they are going to relate. And these are the lines, those are going to provide a relationships. And when we are learning in the PostgreSQL, I'm going to provide a detailed understanding how to create these relationships in Power BI also, both the things. Huh? Now, if you see the sales table surrounded by product table to have a detailed product information, and sales territory table to have a details about the place where the sales has happened. Suppose if you have a store in a particular branch, right, in a particular city. So instead of writing the store address every time, we will use the a territory dimension table. Similarly, customer table, which we are going to have the customer information. Now, so this sales table, which is sitting centrally, called as a fact table, and the tables it is going to refer for a detailed information, we call it as a dimension tables, right? And if we have this one level, then we call it as a star schema. Here it is. So one center facts table connected to dimension tables in a one-on-one, right? Then we call it as a star schema. The reason because it looks like a star, right? And if I came to this particular example, right? Again, what I observe is in the customer address, we are going to have city name and state. Now, as we know, right, in a particular city, Texas, like this, we would be having hundreds of customers. So instead of writing Texas or a particular city and state, again, what I will create is I will create another city table that is going to have a unique identifier for each and every city. So instead of writing entire details, city name and state name, I'm going to use city ID, right? So here sales table is going to refer the address table for address, and this address table again further refer to the city table for the city table. So like child, parent, grandparent. So if we have a multi-level relation, then we call that particular design as snowflake. Okay. So if we want to reduce the data redundancy, then there would be chances of these relation increases, right? So just keep it that in mind. Star and snowflakes. There are two designs are there. So if it is a one level, then we term it as a star. But further, if these dimension tables are referring another dimension table, then we call it as a snowflake schema. right? It's a kind of event. Now, if I see further what kind of things, right? So it says dimensions table stores business entities, stores events and observations, say a person details, a organization details, a city details like that. Stores events or observations. That means any transactions or weather report, all those things. Table structure includes key columns and descriptive columns for filtering and grouping, right? We said, right, in the dimension, we would be having key column and a further more columns that gives the description about that particular entity. If you have a customer table, you are going to have customer ID, name, address, phone number, all these things. So we are going to practically implement these things in our upcoming classes, right? And fact table having key columns and numeric measures that can be summarized. So that means in the sales table, you are going to have transaction ID, product ID, customer ID. These are the key columns, right? Which represent the unique record, and numeric values like how much product, what is the cost of that product, all these things. And we will use them from summarizing. Typically contains fewer rows, right? So customer number would be slowly increasing, but transactions numerous, right? Today 100 customers, tomorrow we would be having 110 customers, but transactions would be thousands. To filter and group. So dimension tables are used to filter the data or group the data. Facts are used to summarize the data, right? So when I come back this one, right? So we have clearly understood normalization and denormalization and how we are going to achieve this one, right? By using the facts and dimension tables, correct? And from there, we understand star and snowflake schema, correct? And the final comparison between both them is like data store systems. Like in this, source systems are highly stable, right? Because each and individual department, they don't frequently changes the source systems, correct? Whereas in these source systems have high rate of change. So when we are taking at enterprise level, there would be chances, okay, new department has came or new requirements has came. So that means again, we should be adding one more source system there, correct? So if I come back to our course content, right? So we have covered introduction, we have covered OLTP and OLAP, and we have understand what the theorem proposed by Inman and Ralph Kimball, right? And we have gone through data warehouse and data marts. And finally, just now we have seen what is star and snowflake schema that is achieved by data normalization and denormalization. And we have seen how dimension and fact tables are organized, right? So to everyone, data warehousing is like a fundamentals for every data engineers or business analyst, okay? Because whenever someone says that, okay, boss, you create a visualization on top of this data, then first thing it should come into our mind is how many tables are there, how these are interrelated, and if they are interrelated, with which columns they are interrelated and why. And we can easily understand those things when we have a clear understanding about data normalization and denormalization, how the dimension and fact table works. Okay. I have seen many students who has directly learned Power BI, but they feel difficult to understand how a report is created, right? Because data would be present in multiple tables and they ask, okay, why they are pulling the columns from different tables. Until we know this logical relation, then we can easily debug the existing Power BI reports or can be easily creating the new Power BI reports. Okay. My simple thought process is that in whatever the field we are, we should be first very strong on fundamentals. They are like a theory or concept, whatever it may be, but we should be very strong on those things. Then we would be easily able to do the practicals, or we can easily implement those in our day-to-day life. Right? Okay. Let us stop today's class here. I'm just stopping